Greetings and welcome back to SmartWatch Ticks. It's that time to parade the watch faces created over the month of June 2016 by some really amazing creative developers. But before we begin on this rectangular FINOW Q1, so you can see what these things look on more of the square watch, I want to show you one watch skin in particular. I'll move this out of the way and take a look at this, if you will. It's absolutely transparent. You can see completely through it to my arm. And it's telling the correct time. And it has digital time right next to it as well. Now, you know, every time I see something a new developer puts out, I get blown away by the capabilities. But this one takes the cake. How in the world they were able to move all the innards out of the way so that you can literally see through the watch. Wow. I get down and go, wow. I'm sure that whoever developed the clock skin engine never in their wildest dreams thought there'd be a day that you could make something like this. But Andrew Somers, one of our amazing developers, has indeed created in this month of June. You will see this in the parade. And that's going to give it away, unfortunately, which is why I want to show it to you now up front. He created this, and you put this puppy on and you go walking around town, and I think you're going to have a whole lot of fun. By the way, this is the male version. Yes, there's a female version as well. All right, let's give a whirl at taking a look at this month's clock skins. First of all, big thanks to the SmartWatch Ticks moon clock skin. It's always fun when a developer throws something out and acknowledges our channel here as being helpful, if not instrumental, if not just playful in getting started in developing these watch faces. We're going to parade through these and take a look. Here's a nice, interesting one. These are simple ones to make because they're pretty much the hands and a background picture. This is set up round. It's displayed on the square screen, so it's going to look bigger and more expanded on the round watch. But I want to get you guys familiar with seeing what these look like on the square watches as well. So we're going to do this month on the square ones. Here's a cool little watch. What I'd like to see is that little spiral thing twirling around behind it. That should be a very easy addition to the clock skin engine. One of you beginners want to try to take that on? Hop on over to the G Plus community and give it a whirl, all right? We love to see new designs. Here's another one, which is a digital one using a round analog kind of an background. This one's rather interesting. If you can see it, it's got the battery charge thing around the outside, the second hand here, and the time up there. It tells it all, and again, on a round watch, it just fills all of the space. Haven't seen a design like that. This one, Andrew Davis playing with us again now, is a Predator watch, and if you speak Predator, you can tell what time it is. Oop, it just changed. In case that's a little bit too much for you, you might want to wean yourself on the language by counting the seconds in Predator speak. Cool, huh? Yeah, I think you get a bunch of questions on this. You can actually tell the time if you pay attention to where the dots are. Ooh. I like it, huh? Look at this one. This one has a very nice ability to render gold. This is a Battlestar Galactica watch with the second hand being the ship. We have quite a few of them to go through. I love this one. Brrr. Now, one of the things I want to tell you is that each of these developers over on the G Plus community, where they tend to gravitate and promote their new works, every one of them have a requirement that if they use something like this picture or the Star Wars from before, they're required to pay homage to their source, which means when you go there to the page where they're uploaded, there's going to be a link that'll take you, for example, to this Beatles picture that tells you that these are the folks that created it or produced it to begin with. So we have a video up that talks about attribution and homage, and it's worth watching that if you can, so that you understand the process now. It's been somewhat formalized that allows us to really put these things together in a professional way. Wow, look at that. Isn't that cool? This is a skin that's been out for a long, long time, gone through several iterations by multiple people. And now it's changing colors. It was blue. It's been recreated here in green and I believe in red. And you're going to see a couple of versions of it this month. This is the kind that has the little wheels rotating in the background there. Really awesome on the X5, on that really big round watch. Wow. Yeah, you got to see that one. And again, what you're going to find at the bottom of this video is a bunch of text files that you can download that give you links for each of these clock skins. You'll see the little picture of the clock skin combined with the name that the artist gave the skin, and a link that takes you directly to their page on the G Plus community with that particular watch skin. From there, you can click the download button and download the absolute latest version of it and install it from that onto your watch, okay? We're not doing that zip file thing anymore like we have done in the past. We've shifted to a process that's going to put you closer together with the developers so that you guys can have conversation. We have seen many users come in and say, wow, I love that, but could you do it in white instead of black? And the developers, if they're inclined, absolutely. Like this one. We saw the wave earlier in kind of a turquoise. Here it is in kind of a purple. The lighting's a little bright to see the time, but it's there. See it there? Yeah. Every time I do that, I get somebody that hasn't watched the other videos going, whoa, what did you do? How did you change the brightness? There's an app called Display Brightness. You download it from the Google Play Store. There's a little invisible slider that I've put on the side of the watch, and it lets me automatically adjust the brightness right from the screen. There, I don't have to answer any more of the messages asking that question. After a few hundred videos, you start to anticipate the things you're leaving out or the things people see and they wish they knew more about. That's definitely one of them. That's an exciting app that everybody likes. This is pretty cool. Look at that. Okay. Again, the developer's name, so to speak, along with their watch face information, what inspired them to design it, where they got the source material from. Like, look at this one. This is worthy of going over there and looking at how the artist described what he was doing here. You know, this is, well, you put the word on interesting, bizarre, exciting, unusual, definitely different. And it's available for you to download. Just follow the thread over to the G Plus community. Every one of these will be there. And you can download them each individually onto your computer. Then once you have them in the computer, they probably come over as a zip file, and hopefully your machine will automatically unzip them. If not, you unzip them yourself. Make sure that they're unzipped, and there's a folder with the watch name, you know, the name that they gave the watch face. And or watch, yeah, the watch itself. And then you drag that folder, which is basically the clock skin, into your folder on your watch that you've named Clock Skins. I mean, we have lots of instructions and videos on how to do that if you've never done it before. And you just drop them in that folder and they will appear on the watch just like you're seeing right here. Same thing, just different hands, different version. You see how some of them designed for a square watch. This is a round watch, but because it colorizes all the way to the edges, it works well on this square watch. Here's a digital one with soft digits. It's kind of hard to see. You almost have to try to get an angle on it to see the time because the contrast is soft. Here it is in black. Again, these are all sorted alphabetically, so whatever the artist, the developer gave them as a name. I like this one. A little ball just goes around and around. This sometimes defines my life, you know? When I'm not in my relaxed mood, Yeah, it kind of feels like this with time. Anyway, they give them a name, and when we put them together, we leave that name, and this just sorts alphabetically. That's how I install them. Otherwise, I wouldn't even begin to know how to sort them. So we just leave it that way. This is kind of nice, pretty simple, just playing with contrast, color contrast, right? Again, that one would look pretty nice expanded to the full screen without the round definition and just that background all the way out. That could be cool. This one I like too. Look at that. It's borrowed a lot of stuff. I've seen those curved kind of digits before, like on the surface of a sphere. There's a script writing up above, and there's this twirly thing with multicolors that comes kind of from the radar clock skins, if you've seen those. This is where artists just kind of put stuff together. Here is one of the first watch faces that has the digital time on the hands itself. If you can see very small right there, the hours and minutes, they have to be small because there's a lot of masking going on. But every time the hands move, the numbers change. You'll see that in a couple of other designs. This is kind of the basic first step. Here you go, 9 and 12 with the hands. A round one with dots. And now we're into an interesting one that shows the Earth rotating down below. We're coming into the sunny part of it, and you can see the sky change. Wow, there's little meteor streaks going by. Look at the stars all twinkling. This is done with a basic clock engine that has no more capabilities than to rotate things like hands and flash things like numbers, you know, for... Wow, look at that. There goes the International Space Station. This is one of those, I can't believe they can do it type of a watch face. Definitely head over on the link on this one and check it out in the Google Plus community. And I'm sure you're going to want to download that and have it on your watch because it's just too cool. Here's another one that I don't know if we can get this to show right, but if you can see it, we've got water actually flowing down. The camera will only focus so close. Can you see it happening? There's water. It's a 3D thing. The water is not supposed to be going uphill like that, but it does. But it's also flowing down at the same time. So put that on your watch and look at it. You'll see it in a way I just can't show you here on the camera very well. Come on, slider. Getting that brightness to go up is sometimes a little tricky. Well, time out. Display brightness. There it's back again. Get out of here. And brighten it. There we go. There. Now you've seen the app in action and how it works. Nice break from all of these. Whoa, look at that. This big boy is floating down. It looks like the Macy's parade or something. And we've got the Ghostbuster symbol over here moving around with the actual time. And this big fella is actually moving. It's a little hard to see, but he's segueing his way down the parade path. Another interesting one. Works well on a big rectangular screen, as does this one. You have a little mouse running, and you've actually got in the time clock some information in there, as well as the digital time at the top. Even the outer ring is actually turning in this one. Fascinating stuff. There we go. All right, did I spoil it for you? Look, it's not really transparent. But boy, it sure looks like it when you got it on. That's the trick. He's actually got skin in there. Yeah, I know. It just happened to match that his skin was like my skin and I could pull it off. But obviously, and he gives guides. So when you go over here, he give you a guide on how to take a picture of your own arm and then put that picture in here to use it as the background. So when you put the watch on your arm, it's your skin. There's the female version. Yeah, anyway, you get the idea. This is kind of the more pink hands and the other one, and it's Andrew Somers. He signed it down here. This is becoming something new we're going to see a lot of the developers do, is sign their work, because we're finding that some of the watch companies that allow the installation of all of these watch skins. Now there's one, you see how the hands disappeared? This I would call a work in progress, but I am including it because anybody that puts something up deserves to be recognized. And hopefully it'll be fixed, and the fix will be updated. So you simply go to the same link that you'll find to go to this particular one. And when those layering problem is fixed, the new version that'll be downloaded is something that hopefully you can put in place of this one. Unless you like it without hands. You know, I'm not attached to having time on my wrist. This is actually pretty cool to just wear this way without time, just as a psychedelic kind of a place to go. Up to you, you know, download it now and then download it later if it's fixed, or get in there and just delete the hands. But the thumbnail shows hands, but the actual effect is gone. What I was saying was some of the watch manufacturers, and I guess, you know, they're trying to support their users and give you more options in terms of clock skins. And if you remember, typically when you go through all of the installed clock skins and you go to the very end, there's a plus sign. You can tap on that and you get a list of some other clock skins that you can download to add watch faces from the company. Well, some of our watch faces are showing up there. And, well, got mixed feelings about that. We're trying to make sure that they're doing it the right way. There's another one that disappears. And they're asking our developers for permission to do that. And given permission, no problem. That should be okay. Here's one we've seen before that's going flipping around in the background, but the digits have been changed. And we have a digital display on front. Okay, and this one's an interesting but rather strange octopus. I'm not quite sure what it is, but there's a little creature in there somewhere, bouncing back and forth. Again, imagination at work. What else have we got? Oh yeah, this one you've seen in another video. This is pretty cool. This is kind of a spacey one, and just something about it. I like it. It looks elegant. And it's got all the data in there. Nice and digital, and the colors are right. Very nice. Here we go, Mario running down the road. Now, how in the world do they do this? Look at all the things on the sides showing up. Another one of those kind of plays on a gaming watch. And quite a bit of visual background. And it repeats itself, but using some exotic elements that you can pull out of the clock skin engine to do that. Here's a material design kind of a watch. Got to have the brightness right to see it all, I guess. There we go. What else? From the Matrix. A kind of Matrix where, you know, the stuff is dropping down in the sky, like we saw on the Matrix from a long, long time ago. And it's stochastic, it's not smooth, and so that gives you an idea of the technique that they're using. There is other techniques available that would make it move smoothly, but it all depends on where the clock developer, watch developer is in their training and their use of these tools and techniques. Now, once you've seen a few of these, you start to almost be able to say, okay, I know the code that's written behind there. Here's another nice one. Now, this being round, just because of the shading against a square background, I kind of think it fits. It actually is an interesting round against square play. Here's a same watch with a second hand going around, or second dot, I guess we could call it. And all of these modifications that developers put in enhance both their learning of how to use the techniques, and of course your appreciation and availability of a variety of different clock faces. Here's another one if you're into the date and the Mercedes logo. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Same thing, but now I got the hands in the wrong place. It's the dates over there right behind the minute hand. just like the other one, but the minute that had been added to it. And then here's another take on the watch from a different perspective. So a lot of times you'll see this too. Developers will grab onto a theme and then kind of play with it, run with it. Now this one's pretty neat. I like to put this one on my watch when I go out because the contrast is really easy to see the time. Really easy. If all I need is time, I just lift it up and there it is. And the background has kind of a fire to it. You see that? How it's illuminescing? Yeah, interesting. Good concept. Different backgrounds. You could really play with that. Here's our big digits type of a clock again in a neon type of a look. Same thing, slightly different. What else have we got? Another one with a whole different kind of a display. The watch is getting tired, I think. It's got little dots for the minute hand. Hello, be responsive, come on. All right, time to change hands. Yeah, we saw these before. Here it is again without those little turbines playing in the background. And there's the green rendition. Again, you can follow the link in the text files for the index that you'll find that will take you to the developer's page. And you could actually request, well, can you make that thing in yellow? You know, or whatever you like. The developers are usually responsive if they have the time. Now this one I featured on video recently too, and it's a very sophisticated one. Not only is it a radar sweeping with the seconds going around up here, but the minutes and hours are actually in the position of where they should be, and they display on here. A very sophisticated way of doing this. 1:46, 84% power, and the seconds are ticking right there. A lot of layering going on in that one. Here's another one of these animated watches. Again, the lighting has to be just right for this. There's a bus going by and somebody waiting for it. See that? And it has a variety of little things to entertain you as you watch the time go by with the date and everything else on there. Brighten it a little more for the other ones. We have a lot of watch faces, so it's taking a while to get through them. I'll try to keep moving. Now here's one that's totally different. The actual display is way different than the thumbnail. That didn't get updated, but this is kind of a pretty cool little watch. It's just that when you see it, it's going to look like that in the index, because that's all I got to play with, and it wasn't updated. So hopefully the developer will update the thumbnail to match the actual clock skin, but that's what's there. Here's a roulette table with the time actually displayed on the chips. 1:47, and there's a little ball going all the way around. Andrew Davis does a lot of these really out there creative ones like this. Here's another simple watch with just a background picture, but the hands are color coordinated. Are you getting a good display on that? These look so much better in person, folks. It's really hard, you know. I'm trying to do this with a camera that's got automatic white balance and color correction, and then you're trying to play it on whatever device you're looking at it on. It's sometimes challenging. We saw Miley. I've got a whole video up of Miley in all of her various looks. This changes every day. She has a different hairdo. Every hour, every minute. Her eyes actually tell the time. It's a 1:40 something. And of course, you know, the time is here also 1:48 in her earrings. You see in all of that? It's really a cool watch face. It's just disgusting as all get out, that's all. I mean, maybe it's not to some people. Maybe some people like that. I've lost the brightness again. Come on back, brightness. Be right back. Okay. I think my thumbs are sweating. It's kind of hot in here, and hey, it's Miley, right? Sorry, Miley. We're gonna move on. Oh, here's another really cool one of the Earth. This is similar to the one where we saw earlier, where you were flying over a fixed Earth. Now you're actually spinning in space, like what would really happen if you were in the movie Gravity, right? And you have to just kind of go with it because that's the way it is in space. I'm waiting for the first astronaut up there from maybe the International Space Station to have this watch on and have himself or herself turning at the same rate so that it looks like the stars match the sky. Wouldn't that be cool? Yeah. This goes round and round, and all I can say is you just got to download it and play with it if you want to get the full experience, because it takes a while to truly experience these. This is an interesting one that goes around like a big measuring tape, and you can actually kind of tell the time with one line like you would on a ruler. And it works its way around, or the digits work them way. Or, again, you got to play with this one because you really need to see it over multiple hours to get the effect. Some more watch faces. Here's an interesting one. Another take on that one. I'll have to look carefully to see what the differences are and go to the developers page to see. Okay, here's kind of a Star Trek-y one, which happens to be one we've seen on a company's website. So this watch face has made its way into the arena of download and installation across the board from the watch server. So we know that the watch companies are participating in reviewing the watch developers' designs, and we're working hard to make sure that the companies adhere to some basic standards of contacting the developer and requesting permission to host their designs actually on the watch servers themselves. But it is pretty interesting and nice that we have a connection, if it can be set up professionally, to get these designs in the hands of as many people as possible, because our developers are creating some really beautiful stuff. And as you'll find with the new index approach that we've got for downloading these things, you're going to have direct contact with each of the developers. When you look at the text files, you'll see that image. You'll see a link, and you'll see the name of the watch face as given by the developer. When you click on that link, it's going to take you right to the developer's posting. Now let's talk about this one. You see the pistons down there going up and down? Kind of trying, yeah? It's like a little engine with pistons, but we all know it doesn't work quite like that. This is one of our new developers who jumped in with this design, and having looked over what some of the other folks have been doing, changed that whole concept radically to something like this, where the pistons are moving much more smoothly and look more realistic. And then, taking it a step further, colorized it a bit, polished it up somewhat, put stuff down here, the time at 1:59, I guess. No, that's the battery, 98. Not sure what that one is. Maybe that's the temperature or something, or the date. Who knows? Anyway, look at that. That's pretty cool. Again, you'll be able to find out information about this and maybe request enhancements if you'd like to see it differently, like digitally. Working from kind of the same basic concept across the board and then modifying it here and there, the developers continue to improve their product. Another way of displaying a round analog watch. Here's a digital display with the second hand going backward. This is a common error. There's a really bizarre way of handling rotation that you got to kind of be aware of the trick, and it takes a little while to learn that. So we see a lot of watches that come out look really spectacular, except the second hand's going backwards. Yeah, we've all done it. It's really interesting. Here's sometimes it's hard to get a picture, a nice close-up that you see for these thumbnails. So this guy just took a picture of the watch on his arm, and that became the close-up. Da-da-da-da. But that's what it actually would look like. And Yeah, it's got everything. I like the way the screen kind of floats in front of the turning gears behind it, and then all the information you need is around the edge. And there were a couple of other enhancements to this one. There's a different version. And one more. Actually, a couple more. Here it is in blue, and we've lost the background, but we've got the essence around the outside. And this one. All right? And those are the watch faces for June of 2016, as produced by some amazing developers, and they're all at the G Plus community related to these clock skin development tasks. And we'll have links to that. And of course, you'll be able to download the index and look at each of these watch faces you saw here and go directly to the posting of the developer to download the actual clock skin. All right? Thank you for watching. And, well, all right. One more thing. Okay. Let's go back to this one. Where are we? Remember that one, the see-through watch? Isn't that cool? I can't get over that. I have got to fool a few people with this, but I digress. I want to use this watch to show you something. You can see it's not really transparent, but it sure looks like when it's on. I'm going to show you what has not been released yet, but is a work in progress, because the developer, who doesn't even have a watch yet to do this with, has been designing some fancy moiré patterns on his watch, and he'd like to see what they look like for real. So by way of this video, he gave me permission to go ahead and give you an advanced peek of what he's working on and how they look. Yeah, you saw a couple of these in a previous video. We were just testing it out. Well, here you go, close up. Get it as bright as we can, and check out these moiré patterns. This is his moiré number 1. Now, you will not find links to this yet because they have not been posted. These are developmental, so you're getting a peek inside the mind and creation of a developer who's working with the interference patterns that come when you move two things together that have stripes or lines or curves on them. The front one is transparent, the back one is black and white, and this is what they do. They create an interference pattern like that. And he's got 19 of these. So we're done with all of the clock skins, and if you're bored with these, well, you can shut things off right now, because I'm just going to show you the rest of his designs, and especially show the developer in Inceptual Games is the handle he goes by, of what his watch faces look like. It blows my mind that somebody can sit down and, with just the computer code itself and an understanding more or less of how it works, to put this stuff together and not even have a watch to test it on. You know, that is amazing. So, in honor of him not even having the watch and the opportunity to see what they actually look like, in case he wants to tweak them before he releases them, we're going to parade them all here for you right now. You notice he uses some spirals, some straight lines, some boxes. And each one of these has its own kind of a feel to it. Some of them are appropriate with white hands. Some of them work better with black hands. They all really look good on a round watch, so I've switched over to the X3. The X3 is the one with the 2 buttons on the side from FINOW. That's another one of my favorites. That's the other one I believe that I featured in a previous video about how we're handling the zip file concept. Wow, look at that. The interference patterns can create very interesting effects. Now here's, I think, just one of the patterns rotating by itself. So you can imagine this is going, say, in the foreground or the background, and some other pattern, perhaps. Yeah, this is another double one. You can see the patterns interfering with each other there. But you get that first spiral, and then he's done a couple of other individual ones as well. Yeah, like this. See, that's just an individual one turning. But it gives you a really interesting optical effect that kind of pulls you in, pushes you out, messes with your mind. Good thing to have just floating on your wrist at a boring meeting where everybody's sitting around, and before you know it, you can have them all hypnotized and bringing you coffee and donuts every morning. There you go. There's a plain background just rotating. So that, combined with something else, creates this moiré pattern effect. And you can pop over once he's posted these to talk to him about how he does it and start doing your own. There's a lot of moiré patterned effects that are available for free to download, from Google. Just search under moiré pattern or something like that. And here's a couple of them interfering in concentric circles. It gives a nice effect. You can start doing this on your own. And these are all in black and white. What happens when you start to introduce color? Whole nother world. Very creative. A lot of potential here. This one's really subtle. We got to play with the lighting again, I think, to get that one to come out right. You seeing it? There you go. Wow. Nice. This is one of those where the hands are almost lost because the intensity of the contrast. But you know what? Take them away. I think that would be cool without any hands on it at all. In fact, I'm going to go back and make this whole set without any hands and just toss them on my watch for the times that I just want to have a moiré day, Here we go. Another interference pattern set happening. You can change the speed. You could change the direction. And if you offset one of these wheels slightly, and you can do that, when you have the rotating thing, if you go back and watch the code instructions on how to do that. I guess that's the last one. If you offset the one of the wheels, like the top one, a little bit, you'll have a whole different kind of oscillating effect that'll bounce all around because they'll cross at different angles depending on which way the whole thing is rotating. All right. Really appreciate you sticking with us and watching these watch faces for June 2016. And be sure to look in the show notes down below to find the link that'll guide you over to each and every one of these individual watch faces, except these moiré. They'll be in next month. Or just go over to the G Plus community and keep an eye, because I'm sure Inceptual Games will be posting these very soon now that he's had a chance to see them in action. All right, thanks for watching. We'll catch you again soon.